Good morning. I know I'm not supposed to be working on Shabbat, but hear me out. In 2014, roughly 11 years ago, the Father sent me here to do two things. Number one, talk to you about pole shift and explain what that means for us on this planet, and also introduce you to wood gasification and the importance of it in our everyday lives once things just fall apart. So I get confirmation all the time about the pole shift and more ways to be able to show you what's going on. We were given another great tool. We're going to go over that. And there's a study that came out almost a year ago, came out in June of 2024, and I didn't even know about the study. However, I've got just a quick 19-second video telling you about this study. Take a listen.
A study posted on the American Meteorological Society's website finds that tornadoes in the plains decreased by 25% over the last 35 years, and they increased by 12% in the southeast. That shift put cities like Jackson, Mississippi, Birmingham, Alabama, Huntsville, Alabama, and Nashville, Tennessee in the bullseye of a new tornado alley.
All right, and let me bring that graphic back up. In the yellow box here, you'll see the heart of where Tornado Alley used to be. We were considered in it where we're at, which is right about here in Illinois. However, we lived in the very northeast corner of Tornado Alley. So, and it wasn't nearly as bad here as you see where it was in the yellow box. However, that has shifted, and I've mentioned that on this show numerous times. And so now, if you pay attention to the graphic, it says tornadoes in the yellow box. The heart of what we used to know as Tornado Alley is down 25%, but in the red box, where it seems to have shifted, tornadoes are up 12%. And we've certainly been seeing that. That's not something that you can ignore with all of the storms that we've seen over the last several years, right? So I mentioned that there was a study, and you're going to have links to all this in the description in the first comment. I mentioned this study as well as the video mentioned the study, and I'm going to give you a link to this. Again, it came out in June of 2024, and it's a comprehensive analysis of the spatial and seasonal shifts in tornado activity in the United States. Until today, I was completely unaware of this study. So I was just going by the data that I was able to collect and work out in my own head and be able to tell you, okay, this is what's going to be happening, this is what's going to be happening. And this is all due, every single last bit of it, to the shift in the magnetic poles. And NOAA, the weather people, not to be confused with the letter people, that's totally different group of people, they actually have given us a new tool, which I think is incredibly cool. It's called the Historical Magnetic Declination Viewer, and I'm going to put a link to this down in the description. You can keep a track of what's going on with the poles all by your lonesome just by going to that link. I don't know when they're going to be updating this again, but right now the data that they have on there goes from 1590 to 2025, this year. Okay, so it goes all the way up to this year. Now, you can play it out in which we're going to do, and I'm going to start out around 1890. But what I want you to watch is you're going to see, because a lot of people would say, when I first started talking about pole shift, what people would say is that, oh, well, the North Pole is always kind of danced around, you know, in a particular area in the north, right? And it has. It's always moved. It's always moved around. But it would just kind of stick around the same area. That is no longer the case, and that's the very point that I have been trying to tell people, that Ben Davison has been trying to tell people, and I want you to pay attention to the acceleration that this takes. So again, we're starting out at about 1890 here, and we're going to let it play out to 2025. Watch how this thing accelerates. And you're going to see it just start taking off in the 80s. Boom. You see that? And it will speed up and slow down. That's just the way that it works. I don't know all the details about why it does all of that, but it will speed up a little and slow down a little. But I'm telling you, we don't have a whole lot of time. The other day, Ben had made a video, Ben Davison, and he was talking about, from new data that has came out, it would seem that it's very possible that his guess on when this would happen was incorrect. And I have said on this show, for those that have heard, or on this channel I should say, for those that have heard it, that for one, my timeline shakes out different than Ben's timeline. And not that I was necessarily debating or, disputing with Ben on his timeline. It's just where I got my source, I completely trust it over, well, man, to be quite honest. And I have told people, you might want to be concerned in the mid-2030s, mid to late 2030s, somewhere in that area. And he was saying mid to late 2040s. And in this recent video that he had made, he had talked about, I may have been wrong on that. And if you listen to him, now he says it could be any time between the late 2020s, like say 2029 for instance, all the way up to his original, which would be late 2040s. So he's expanded his timeline because of a difference in the acceleration of the shift that he has noticed and that has been documented. There's a lot of good information out there. Again, NOAA, the weather people, not the letter people, they have been actually starting to talk about this a little bit more, but they're not really getting down to the nuts and bolts of things and telling people what's the end result, what is going to happen from this. There's a lot of quote-unquote scientists that are probably going to immediately deduct that when the poles do shift, that they're going to shift 180 degrees, and that's not correct either. They're going to shift 90 degrees. And again, I didn't get that from man, so I stand firm behind that. I've been saying that for longer than what Ben Davison has been saying there's going to be a 90-degree shift, not a 180. And, this isn't an I told you so moment. It's not. It's a please wake up moment. Because this is happening. We didn't do anything to cause it. We couldn't do anything to cause this. And we damn sure can't do anything to stop it. The only thing we can do is get prepared for it, get educated on it, and understand what is happening. Do our best to find a safe place to be able to go. And most importantly, pray to the Father that He sees us through it. I think He'd be okay with me making this video today. Shalom.